Got it. Thanks. Yep. And I believe we're live, which is great. So yeah, welcome everyone to the opening ceremony for the first Omnichain hackathon on Dora Hacks. This hackathon is in partnership with ZetaChain, which is a upcoming Omnichain protocol built using the Cosmos SDK. Very exciting project. We imagine that there's going to be lots of exciting protocols built on top of ZetaChain in this first Omnichain hackathon on Dora Hacks. And we're very excited to be partnering with the team to launch this really exciting hackathon. There are 30 grand in prizes for this hackathon and up to 5 million of additional grant funding for developers who want to participate. So it's a great opportunity to learn more about this protocol. And if you have any cool Omnichain specific ideas, here's your opportunity to participate in a online hackathon. This is the opening ceremony, so I'd like to welcome everyone for being here. The submission portal has gone live today, so the hackathon is officially live. This entire month or so long hackathon will be full of programming from the ZetaChain team. They will be hosting numerous workshops and Discord office hours for developers. We've got an all-star panel of judges as well. And the purpose of this opening ceremony is to welcome all the developers for joining, share some details about this hackathon, walk the audience through the process of creating an account on Dora Hacks and submitting to this hackathon, and also an opportunity for ZetaChain to introduce themselves to our developer community and share a little bit more about themselves, their vision for the hackathon, and any other information they want to have. So before turning it over to them, I'd just like to say, if anyone has any questions during this opening ceremony, please feel free to type it in the chat on Binance Live or YouTube. You can also reach out to me directly on Telegram. My handle is @BrianDora, and I will be sure to mention the question here. You can also connect directly with the ZetaChain team on social media, Dora Hacks on social media. And if you have any questions, please reach out to the team. And without further ado, I'd love to turn it over to the ZetaChain team to share a few words themselves.
Thank you, Brian. My name is Dennis. I am head of developer experience at ZetaChain, and I want to welcome everyone to the Omnichain Hackathon. So I want to first talk about what ZetaChain is. So ZetaChain is an EVM-compatible blockchain that basically connects everything. You can build your application once, and it becomes interoperable with all the connected chains, including the ones that don't even support smart contracts like Bitcoin. So you can really access all the data from a single place. So it's built using Cosmos SDK and Tendermint Core, and it features two ways of building applications. One is Omnichain smart contracts, and the other one is cross-chain messaging. And I'm going to dive a bit deeper into both of these options, but yeah, it's an interoperability L1. So why interoperability is important? Well, blockchains have evolved quite a bit in the past 10 years or so, from the ones that don't support smart contracts and are just for token value, like Bitcoin. Then, of course, Ethereum introduced smart contracts, and we've seen many approaches to scale Ethereum. And the next kind of step is multi-chain, right? We realized as an industry, as a community, that a single blockchain or a dozen of blockchains is not going to cut it. And we need a way to build applications that span dozens and hundreds, potentially, chains, and how to do this properly. So we've seen evolution of interoperability with centralized exchanges, different kind of bridges, aggregators, and recently cross-chain messaging. But it has been rather fragmented and hard to deal with from developer point of view. And also, these sometimes ad hoc solutions possess real risk for users, right? Not many of these solutions offer the peace of mind and developer experience that we want to achieve. So people think of, when you say interoperability, people think different things, right? Sometimes it's about bridges, it's about wallets supporting multiple chains and kind of like switching between them, wrap tokens, and all of this complexity is really adding up. But what interoperability can be is essentially a layer that kind of abstracts all of this from developers and users, right? Instead of putting this burden of switching chains and dealing with incompatible wrap tokens, you can really build an application that has interoperability built in from the very beginning. And it offers so many advantages, like thinking about interoperability as something fundamental to your application really helps you build better applications that are future-proof, right? You can avoid chain lock-in. You can eventually kind of get more users because you're not building for a specific chain, but rather you're connecting all the chains together through your application. And of course, you can interact with Bitcoins and Dogecoin and all the other L1s that don't support smart contracts. And it can be tricky to interact with them, but ZetaChain offers tools for you to do this. So yeah, ZetaChain, on top of the existing solutions, ZetaChain offers Omnichain smart contracts, which is a very nice and lightweight way of building interoperable applications where you basically write and deploy once, and then you can call this contract from any connected chain. So the way it works is pretty neat, right? ZetaChain is essentially this kind of connector that is decentralized, so you don't have a single point of failure, right? It's not a centralized bridge or anything. It's a blockchain, and you have validators that provide security for ZetaChain, but also some validators are also running Zeta clients that act as essentially observers, and they facilitate the interchain transactions, right? So not all validators are running Zeta client, but a subset of them are, and they are essentially facilitating all of this. So with these two methods of building applications, it's really up to developers to decide which one they fits their requirements better. So for example, if you have an existing application and you just want to add a small bit of functionality to it that requires you to send messages from one chain to another, you might want to try cross-chain messaging first, right? If you're building an app from the ground up and you know that you will be supporting dozens of chains eventually, you might want to build an Omnichain smart contract instead. And it's written in Solidity. It runs on EVM through Ethermint. So if you're familiar with Cosmos, Ethermint is a library that provides EVM compatibility. So it's essentially the same contract you would write on any other EVM blockchain, except it has a few additional APIs that you can use to actually trigger interoperability. And we'll go into the details on this in the upcoming workshops. So you can find this table on zetachain.com, by the way, but ZetaChain compares favorably to many other solutions, right? You don't need wrap tokens, you have immediate settlements, chain agnostic, you have both contracts and cross-chain messaging. So it's really like the whole package. And it's really scalable. So blocks are very quick. Finality is instant. You have thousands of transactions per second, and it scales nicely to hundreds of validators. So the Zeta chain could eventually have 100, 200, or even 300 validators. So far, we have received a lot of interest from both developers and users. We've got more than 1.4 million testnet users. It's missing a million, but it's 10.4 million cross-chain transactions and 1,300 dApps deployed on the testnet. So Zeta chain currently is in testnet stage, which also offers a great opportunity for you to get started building early. We're currently on a second testnet called Athens 2. Soon, the next testnet will be released with new features and improved performance, and mainnet is planned late this year. So really, Zeta chain is a platform that you can build any kind of applications on. You can build DeFi, governance applications, social, anything basically that requires interoperability. And almost all applications these days require interoperability between chains. So we're also providing developers and users with a set of tools. You can try out Zeta chain on labs.zetachain.com. It's a swapping application for Zeta chain. It's not just for swapping, it's a general purpose L1, but you can kind of try using it on this demo application here and understand basically how a swap application would work. We have an Explorer that it was built for cross-chain transactions, so it's very nice developer experience. When you deploy something, you can immediately see all the cross-chain transactions, verify the code, and do all sorts of things. So very nice Explorer built for Omnichain contracts and cross-chain messaging. We have docs, of course, with tutorials. So please check out zetachain.com/docs. We're going to be covering some of these tutorials in the workshops starting tomorrow. So we're looking forward to that. And please check out our GitHub at github.com/zeta-chain. We have a template you can start from. All the examples from documentation is there as well. You can also check out protocol contracts if you're curious about how it works under the hood. We're open sourcing most of the code. Well, all of the code will be eventually open sourced, but main contracts are out there on GitHub already, so please check it out. And of course, as we get closer to mainnets, I will have more information about the Zeta Hub application, which will effectively provide a UI for the chain, allow staking, swapping tokens, managing assets across all chains. So yeah, it's coming soon. Recently, Zeta Chain has launched a grants program, so check that out too and apply if you're interested. We have many partners signed up with Zeta Chain, including projects like Anchor, Block Scout, CyberConnect, and many others. So this hackathon has 6 verticals. They should be pretty familiar to most of you. So it's DeFi, UX, NFTs, DAOs, identity games. If your project doesn't fit a vertical, reach out to us and we'll choose the one that fits best. But basically, if it uses Zeta Chain's functionality, if it solves some kind of problem in the interoperability space, then most likely it fits one of the verticals. So yeah, I'm very excited to see the project that you guys come up with. Um, Zeta Chain is hosting many hackathons, and we're going to host more in the near future. This one is online, but we also are looking into hosting more offline workshops, hackathons as well, to engage with developers. So thank you so much. Hope that was helpful. I can share the presentation on Discord if you want to learn more, but check out datachain.com. Most of the content is either on the website or in documentation. And of course, we'll go over some of the tutorials and the workshops. So I'm very excited about that. And welcome again. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dennis, for that overview of Zeta Chain. It looks like we do have one question. Someone's just asking about tokenomics. What is the total Zeta Chain supply?
Well, currently Zeta Chain is in the testnet phase, so that will change. We don't want to kind of set any kind of values right now, but it is a proof of stake blockchain with typically it's a Cosmos chain. It most likely will have inflation. So when blocks are produced, tokens are minted to reward validators. So yeah, it's but more will be known once we get closer to mainnet.
Yeah, that makes sense. And as you get closer to mainnet and your docs are more finalized as well, anyone that has questions on tokenomics, I'm sure they can direct themselves there to learn more as well. But as I said, it's still in testnet. That's why we're kicking off this hackathon. Hopefully help get some really interesting, really cool developer teams building on Zeta Chain and Zeta's tech stack even prior to mainnet. Should be very, very exciting. Those teams that do participate will have, as we mentioned, a really excellent opportunity to learn more about Zeta, have access to resources, incubational resources from Zeta and Dora, and should be really exciting. I am going to now share my screen because I want to just give a quick overview of the DoraHacks platform, let the audience familiarize themselves with it. That way they can learn how to submit a project to this hackathon. Okay. Dennis, can you confirm you can see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Excellent. So this is the DoraHacks website. I'm already signed in. When you come to DoraHacks, make sure you're coming to dorahacks.io. This is the correct website. You will sign in the upper right corner here. There's a couple options to sign in. You can sign in with your email. You can sign in with MetaMask. You can sign in with even a Bitcoin Lightning wallet. But if you're a developer, the method I will recommend is signing through your GitHub. That's one of the options as well. It probably makes the most sense for participants in this hackathon because you will be required to link your GitHub for your hackathon project to your submission anyway. So if you sign in with your GitHub, it makes that process even smoother. So that's definitely something, that's definitely a good sign-in option for you. And once you come to the website, you'll navigate to hackathons. And you'll see all the hackathons that are currently live on our site right now. You can see Zeta Chain's Omnichain is right here. We have a lot of online hackathons at any moment in time. So the one that's getting spotlighted in the upper right corner here will change. I'm sure this will be Zeta Chain's hackathon at numerous times throughout the duration of this online hackathon. But if it's not in the upper right-hand corner when you visit it, it'll be on the scroll bar and you'll see it towards the top right here as well. And you can come to their hackathon right here. As you can see, there's no submissions yet because the hackathon submission portal hasn't officially opened yet. It will open later today. And as Dennis mentioned, he shared a little bit about the Zeta Chain overview and the blockchain and the structure of the hackathon already. But just so you guys know, all of the information can be found on this detail tab right here. All of the details about the hackathon, overview about Zeta Chain, information about the prize pools. You can see that there's 30 30 grand total for this prize pool. There's a grand prize of $12,000. And then all of the top winners of all the different tracks also are subjected to additional prizes as well. There's key dates down here as well. You can see the main hackathon period is from May 15th to June 30th. There's going to be a brief reviewing and judging period. And then July 7th will be project demos and closing ceremonies as well. As you can see, there are some basic requirements for the hackathon as well. You can read more on this detailed track page, but this is basically if you want to make sure your project is considered one of the top submissions, you'll have to make sure that these requirements are met. You can see that we have a all-star cast of judges as well. Some of the judges from Zeta Chain themselves, and then some of the other judges are very influential Cosmos figureheads as well as investors. So it would be great for good opportunity for projects to get some face time with some resourceful people in Cosmos and beyond. There's also some partners with Zeta Chain as well. You can read more about here. Zeta Chain can probably connect you with any of these partners if you find them to be helpful to your project. And then just some additional resources here. So this is another thing that was mentioned previously, but you can learn more about each track here. When you submit your project, you will select what track you're applying for. The tracks are DeFi, UX, NFTs, DAOs, identity, social, and wallets, and then games and GameFi. These are the 6 broad tracks. As you can see, Zeta Chain team has provided some more specific ideas within each category. And this will help guide the direction that you're building in as a developer. And if you're using these ideas or adapting these ideas, this is a good place to start. I'd also like to point out the workshop schedule. I mentioned that Zeta Chain has very, very high level of content and programming for developers. This is basically technical and non-technical workshops for developers to learn more about Zeta Chain's tech stack, developer introductions in general, and maybe some more educational workshops as well. And you can see that some of them have already been scheduled. Closing ceremony links will be populated towards the end of the hackathon, but this is the schedule for all the other workshops. You can find the audience can find links to watch right here and the date and time on the left-hand side, as long as who's the presenter. So please, keep this in mind if you're looking to get more technical advice about Zeta Chain during the hackathon. There's also office hours as well for developers on an ongoing basis, that if they've ever hit a blocker or they have a question and they're in the middle of building their project, this is a great place to come to ask some questions. Okay, so now that we've gotten that over with and you've learned a little bit more about just our platform in general, I will show you the exact process on how to submit to this hackathon. And if you have any questions after that, I'm happy to answer them as well. So once you navigate to Zeta Chain's hackathon page on dorahacks.io, you can come over here and you can submit a BIDL. BIDL is, it's kind of adapted from the HODL meme, which is like a crypto native word. So a BIDL is your submission. So you'll go to submit right here. And essentially, for this hackathon, you probably won't already have an existing BIDL from a previous hackathon that applies, because Zeta Chain's technology stack is quite unique. But if you did, right, I don't have any, but you might have some here if you're a previous DoorHacks user. And right here is where you select your track. But what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to create a new BIDL for this hackathon. So you're going to click this button right here. So right here is where you actually start building out your project. So what you're going to do is put your project name here. I'm just going to put test for now. You're going to upload your BIDL logo right here. And then right here, you're going to start specifying, exactly what you're applying to. So you would select hackathon here. You'd put Omnichain hackathon. For tech tree, it would be crypto and Web3. For category, these are basically just hashtags, so don't worry too hard about getting it exactly correct, because these are just hashtags to help people find your project on our platform and to help categorize it. So just do the best you can. It's really just for, as I said, hashtags. But say you're making some type of DeFi application, you can click that. Right here, we will add, if it's not added already, we'll make sure Zeta Chain is in here. I'm just doing a quick scroll. Don't see it yet, but don't be worried. It will be added by the time the hackathon portal goes live. But essentially, like if you do end up clicking the wrong one, as I said, it's not the end of the world. Like it'll still be submitted to Zeta Chains. So Zeta Chain would be the right one to click here. And here's a tagline, right? Like, which is basically just a brief overview of your project. Like what it is. Like if we're doing a DEX, right, it would be like automated DEX with added security or something basic like that. And then in the description section, here is where you would actually really describe your project at length. We would ask that you also insert your Telegram here for BIDL verification. This is also how the DoorHacks and Zeta Chain team will be able to reach out directly to your team if we have any questions, if we want to provide resources to you, if we want to invite you to demo days, let you know you won, etc. And providing your Discord here would also be helpful as well, because this is how we can invite you to office hours, provide you testnet tokens, etc., answer questions in the Discord. If you have a WhatsApp or WeChat, you can provide that, but that's optional. Right here is where you will invite team members to the hackathon. Obviously, if you're submitting the project as a team, at the submission stage here is where you add everyone on your team. So, for example, say I'm doing a hackathon with my associate Chris, who's at DoorHacks, I would type in his email here. And when I send him this email, he will receive something in his inbox that says, click to accept team invitation. And then once he does that, he will appear, his name will appear on this BIDL as well. And this is how you'll add your team members. Right here is a place to insert team information, right? Like what everyone's job is on the team, what their background is. This is kind of a fun thing to add, and it's helpful for the judges as well. Right here is where you insert your GitHub. As I said, this is something that you'll be required to add. And then demo and demo video. These sound kind of similar, but in actuality, the demo is kind of like, maybe if you have like a splash page set up for your project or some type of website, that's what would go here. And demo video is a video of you actually like going through and using your submission, something that might be pre-recorded. Twitter, you can put your Twitter, the Twitter of your project here. Like you'll probably create a Twitter page for your application. Facebook is optional. No need to do that. But if for some reason you have it, you can use it here. Once all that's filled out, you'll click the I agree to the user statement, and you'll click submit BIDL and back. And this is really important to remember, because what you've essentially done is after you've completed all these steps, you have successfully created a BIDL, but you haven't yet applied to the Zeta Chain Hackathon, right? You're definitely going to want to make sure to do that. So once you hit submit BIDL and back, it'll bring you back to this screen right here. On the drop-down menu, you'll see the BIDL you've created now. You can click it, and then right here, you'll select the track you're applying for, right? Because it says apply for Omnichain Hackathon, right? You select the track, and once you've done that, you'd agree again, and then you'd submit. And now you've been successfully submitted to the Omnichain Hackathon. The process then goes through a verification process. It might take 1 or 2 days for it to become visible on the DoorHacks website. But after those 1 or 2 days and it's visible, you'll know that it's been successfully created. And you can, if you want to edit your project or add any additional content to it, this is something you can do, up until the final day of submissions. And that's basically that. So yeah, thank you for watching me walk you through the process of submitting a BIDL to the hackathon. If anyone has any questions on that at any point, please feel free to reach out to the DoorHacks or the Zeta Chain team or me personally as well. At this point, I do notice that there are some questions in the chat, so I want to give the Zeta Chain team a chance to answer these as well. One of the first questions is, will the Zeta Chain community receive any rewards from its activities?
Well, Janice already answered in the chat. It's stay tuned. So yeah, I guess that's the answer.
Okay, yeah. So I think the rewards for participating in this hackathon have been laid out. It's 30 grand in prizes and up to 5 million additional grant funding. So that's probably the main rewards from this hackathon. But addition to that, there'll always be additional perks we can provide along with incubational resources for the best projects. And then I also see that Janice responded with 2 billion total supply for Zeta Chain overall. So that answers that question from earlier. I see Janice is going through this chat, answering some questions. I'll just read them out for anyone that can't see the chat. So can we bridge ZK and Zeta Chain in the future? The answer to this is also stay tuned. It's something that the Zeta Chain team is working on. And then
sorry,
go ahead.
To expand on this answer a bit. So Zeta Chain is chain agnostic. So currently it doesn't support ZK sync, but it can theoretically support any chain. So it's really up to the community eventually to decide which chain to support next.
Got it. Thanks for expanding on that, Dennis. And then another question is, are we advancing on our planned schedule or is there a delay? There's no delay. We're advancing on our planned schedule. This is the very first opening ceremony of the Omnichain Zeta Chain's Omnichain Hackathon. You can start building your project like now if you want, and the submission portal will officially open for submissions a little bit later today. But in terms of just creating a DoraHacks account and getting started on your submission, there's no delay, and it's full steam ahead. Okay, that's all the questions I see in the chat. Excellent. Well, I'd like to thank everyone again for joining this opening ceremony. We covered a fair bit of content. Dennis shared a bit about Zeta Chain and the vision for the hackathon, and I walked through the process of submitting on the portal. I'd just like to once again reiterate how excited we are to be kicking off this hackathon with Zeta Chain. It's a really exciting hackathon on DoraHacks. It marks a really big moment in the history of our platform, hosting an Omnichain hackathon, and it offers some really exciting rewards and prizes and resources for developers as well. And we envision a lot of those submissions are going to be super exciting to see how they leverage this Omnichain technology. So definitely something we're looking forward to on our end. Before we officially wrap up the opening ceremony, I'll turn it over to Dennis one last time just to see if you have any final words before concluding this opening ceremony.
Yeah, I'm super excited and just want to welcome and thank everyone for participating. And excited to see you on the workshop tomorrow.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you so much. And likewise, we got our first workshop tomorrow, also with Dennis. So stay tuned for that. If there are any questions in the chat that we didn't have a chance to answer, please, we'll make sure to answer them in Discord. If you join either the Zeta Chain or DoraHacks Discord, and ask your question, we'll be sure to answer them there. So don't worry about that. But thanks everyone again for joining. Thanks Zeta Chain team for joining this opening ceremony. Hope everyone in the audience found it exciting and informative. And with that being said, I'd like to conclude the opening ceremony. Thanks again, everyone. And we're very excited for this hackathon.